Hello and welcome to Dear Diaries, Her Story, where we explore extraordinary journeys of Christian women touched by the Most High. I'm your host, Rosa B. Theoc, and in each episode we'll uncover stories of faith, resilience, and the undeniable presence of God in everyday life. Whether you're tuning in for inspiration, guidance, or simply to share these moments of grace, you're in the right place. So let's open these diaries together and see where faith leads us today.
Dear Diary, my name is Vicky. I'm a single mother of a beautiful young boy, and today I would like to share my story on caring for a sickly child. At the age of 27, life was thriving. I was in a good position, I was making good money, and I wasn't thinking about kids at that time. One particular day I had a coworker that approached me and he was asking me about, do I have any kids? And when I stated that I didn't have any kids, he was like, wow, you don't have any kids yet? What are you waiting for? And that was the beginning of a seed being planted where all of a sudden I just wanted a kid. Within a 2-year span, I was in the process of trying. I went as far as downloading apps on ovulating, and I was looking at the calendar on a consistent basis, and I was pushing and trying to have a kid. The problem with that was it was like a dead end, not with my physical body, but like the whole process just wasn't flowing right in the way that it should have. That should have been a telltale sign for me to slow down and just wait on what my daddy had planned for me for the future. But with us trying to live our own lives and not including God in it, it just didn't go that route. My son was born at the age of 29. And the thing is, before he was born, I remember going to the doctors and, when they do the tests and they say, okay, you have the trait for sickle cell. I didn't put too much care into it because I wasn't really aware of what sickle cell was. So as soon as my son was born, they said that the test results came back and said that he was SSI positive. And I'm like, this is foreign to me because I didn't know exactly what it was. And then they kind of had me schedule a couple of appointments with the hematologist. And then from there, he was trying to educate me and gave me a couple of pamphlets to go home with to basically learn and know what it is that sickle cell is and what to look for. I remember them telling me, if there's a fever or if there's pain, just bring them in. And I remember one particular day going into the hospital with him because he had a fever. And from there, it was like that was the process of what I entered into with the child who is sick. The thing is, when he was going through the pain and everything, it's like when you have a child, you kind of know okay, when he's hungry, when he's wet, but a pain cry is totally different from all of that. And you go into the hospital and they ask you all these types of questions like, okay, Mom, how do you know? And I'm like, listen, I know his cry is different. And I just knew with that type of crying that was coming from him that he was in pain. And through the process of the IV and the different blood work that they were drawing out of him, it was like a place of, oh my God, what am I entering into? And then it's like, as time progressed, by the time he was 6 months old, that was like the initial state of everything starting at the time that he was 6 months old. And then it was like this thing of in and out of the hospital, the ER department saying, okay, when you're out, contact your primary. Your primary is go to the main doctor. So it was like this back and forth. And I just didn't know exactly what was going on because it's almost like they're not communicating with one another, it's just with me. So I was kind of going through a stressful state in my life to the point that I had to start calling out from work. I was missing work, either going in early, leaving early. And there was one point where I reached the hematologist office and I'm sitting there and I remember my son had on his onesies because we didn't get no sleep that night. He had on his onesies and I'm just holding him in my hands like this, and I'm just in a distraught place where I'm just looking looking at all the kids, because at the same time, along with the hematologist, there's also oncology with the other patients and kids that maybe have leukemia and other types of cancers, and they may not have hair. And I'm like looking around like, oh my God, like I've never touched or been in close contact with kids with this type of situation. And I just felt helpless. And I remember sitting in the office when this young lady came to me, and of course she was there for her child who obviously had cancer. She shared that with me, and she came and she sat next to me. She placed her hand on my lap, and then she said, "Is this your first time?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "You know, everything's gonna be okay." She said, "Sometimes when I'm going through it and I need help," she's like, "I have a group of women that we gather together and we pray." Now, mind you, for me, I wasn't in church. I wasn't having conversations with God. I just was winging it and kind of like living life as the best way that I knew how. And the thing is, after going through this process back and forth with my son in the hospital, it was just like a consistent basis, back and forth, back and forth. And there'd be times where it's like I'm losing sleep. There'd be times where I don't know how to help him. There'd be times where he's laying in the hospital bed and he's not crying when the syringe is going through his arm, and he's just lifeless. And you look and you see how strong even a baby can be in a state that they're in, because them two are fighting. And I remember for myself, I began to get numb, because you go through it over and over and over. And there's this on button as a mother that you have. There's an on button that mothers have, and it never turns off. You go to sleep, but you're not really sleeping, because you're listening. Maybe they need something in the middle of the night. And during the day, you might be like in front of your computer working. You're still alert because you're a mother. It never turns off. I started going to church a little bit later, and I started getting connected in different groups. And I wasn't expecting anything, to tell you the truth. I just needed a place where there was hope, some type of hope, some type of encouragement. But I didn't know like God was walking me through. I didn't know that God was leading me. And I get to church and I start joining these groups, and then I get in contact with different other women, with different other people. And I noticed God was just like taking me through to start teaching me how to fight in the spiritual realm. Because, you know, when you've been knocked down so many times, you just kind of like forget like how to fight the fight the right way. And God began to teach me that all the things that I was going through, all the things that I experienced, that there was a way to handle it. And it wasn't through the physical realm, but it was in that secret place with Him, with my weapons that He gave me. And that took a while. It took a while. My life did a 360. The people that I used to be around, God just took them all away from me. It was just like, now He gave me a whole new set of women that I would be accountable to, and them accountable to myself as well. And we encourage one another, and they encourage me. And the thing is with my son now when he goes through what he goes through, I tell myself and I remind myself, he's healed. And even if I don't see it, but I'm still believing for it. And then there be days where it's like, this is too much, it's too much. But at the same time, I pause and I'm like, you know what, you're trespassing. You're trespassing. I remember what my dad told me. I remember what his word says, and I fight the battle. I speak over him. And I too tell him, don't believe what it is, that's what you're experiencing, what you're going through. This is not forever. It's not gonna last. You're healed. And the thing about it is, with this seed that happened way back with just like okay, you don't have any kids yet, like what you're waiting for. When I think back, I'm like, I was in a good place. And just like that, somebody came and said something, and I took it, and I started looking at myself differently, like, oh, I needed this, I needed that. I'm not saying I regret my son. My son was made for me, and I was made to be his mother. But the time frame of it happening was not supposed to be so. The actions that I took for it to happen, it wasn't supposed to be so. I could have been in a much better situation, still having my son, but not in the predicament of all that went through. I could have not dealt with all that I went through. But at the same time too, it's building me up. It's building me up. And when I say, like, he's such an awesome boy, like, he stands strong. I encourage him day by day. I don't treat him like, oh, you're sick, you can't do this. No, I treat him like an average boy, and even the more stronger, you know, like, you're capable, you can do it. And the crazy part about it, Nicholas, that's my son's name. He misses so many days of school, but he excels so high. Like, his test scores are always above and beyond. And even when he speaks, I'm like, so much wisdom that is on him. I remember right before he started elementary school, we were struggling with him to read, and I was like, oh God, like, what is it? But you know, as parents, it doesn't matter who parent. Like, you just like, Lord, let my baby be smart, you know, like, sometimes you just overthink the whole thing. And I remember I went to purchase this book where it says 101 ways to teach your child to read. I didn't even do like a whole month with him, and all of a sudden he just started flying reading before he even got into elementary. And I was like, God, like, I overthink everything when it comes to my life. And it's like, now I'm in a place where I'm like, Lord, I surrender completely. Whatever it is that you want in my life, I surrender it all to you. I give it all to you. And as far as for the women of God that God has given me, if it was for me, I would have never chosen them. I'm going to be real with you. I'm going to be 100% real with you. But sometimes God give you not what you want, but what you need. And I tell you, I love them, and I wouldn't trade them for the world. I would not trade them for the world. And everything that he's taken away, I don't look back at it. I don't look back at it. I'm a better person, and I'm growing, and I'm stepping into what he has called me to be. And I'm thankful for a thriving, healthy boy that is growing to be, that he's growing to be a man of valor, and I'm teaching him the precepts of God as well too. And I'm blessed.
Amen. What I noticed is that when you're telling me your story, you're looking, you know, to and fro. Is a very intimate and private story. But when you're talking from a place of victory, your eyes stay focused.
Yeah.
Your eyes stay focused. What do you have to say to women who might want to have a child, maybe, or someone's pressuring them to do something?
I would say wait, don't push it. Let God be in complete control. And then at the same time too, you have to get into that secret place with God where you really have to have a heart to heart and a talk with him, so he could address some things about you and show you like what's going on with you. Like, are you ready to bring in a whole nother life? Like, because you could have like certain things that's going on in your life, in your past, that you've not have addressed, and then you come in and you bring in a whole nother seed, a whole nother life, and what happens? It falls on them. And guess what? Cycles continue, and they're never broken. So it's like you have to know what you're dealing with first before you say, hey, I want to bring in this child, and all of a sudden he's got to carry the weight of some battles that you didn't even fight and tear down yet. And then another thing you have to think about is God knows best. He's in complete control. You may not understand, but at the same time, you can go before him. It's like, God, what is it? Like, because you could be in the begging stage, like, God, please, please, please. But it's like, ask him, what's going on? What is it? And that goes for marriage too. You might be waiting for the one, and it's like, I'm waiting forever, and that knight in shining armor has not showed up yet, and it's like, did you check yourself? So
Yeah.
you might not be ready, because guess what? He come through, you might be chasing him out the door. So just be patient and just stay in his word and just get into that intimate place so he can really, really show you what's going on and show you like the deep and secret intimate things that's going on, because there's things in the bloodline that you may not even be aware of, and God is like, let me deal with this, let me show you, because only he knows, you know.
What would you say to women who are also raising a child who's sickly?
What I would have to say for anyone that might be dealing with a child that may be sickly or any other health problems, you're not alone. There are others as well. And at the same time too, I would say seek help, and don't stay in that closed place where you're quiet and thinking like, this is just me, I don't have any help. You know, just pray God send someone or lead you in a direction where you could kind of like get connected, because on Facebook you might put in like a keyword on whatever the ailment is, and you'll find like groups of people like, hey, you know, we're meeting up in this place, hey, this is what we're doing. And before you know it, like you're amongst others that are keeping each other in a positive place, in a positive frame of mind, and you might gather new information that you weren't even aware of that might help you. So I would just say, like, speak out and find out, because the time that we live in right now, like, unless you're under a rock, there's Facebook, there's other social media sites, there's churches, there's hospitals, there's social workers. Like, you can find help. Just open your mouth and find help. Like, every summertime now for the past 2 or 3 years, my son goes to camp with other kids that has the same disease as him. And you know what? I didn't get a chance to do it as well, but they also have a separate one for the parents. But every time he goes, he's like, man, Mom, nobody wants to leave. He's like, they gather around the campfire and they're crying and they miss each other because they have so much fun, because they're horseback riding or they're fishing, whatever the case is. But there is support out there. You just have to get connected.
Okay, so I'm going to ask a question, because there's, in Christianity, when you're going through things, there's like, you know, God did this, did God, you know, but God. Mm-hmm. But the truth is, there is still emotions of frustration. Mm-hmm. There's still emotions like, I want to be over this right now. Mm-hmm. So how, first of all, is it okay to feel that way? Mm-hmm. And what do you do to get over that?
I believe it is okay to have your feelings in, you know, going through the motions of feeling angry and feeling sad. I mean, like, who gave us those feelings to express but the one above? I mean, if you go through his word, you'll see where God is like, he's angry about something, or he's laughing about something, or he's excited about something. Just as our Abba Daddy has feelings and he expresses them, we too, who are made in his image, is going to express as well. Now, when you're going through it, one thing that you don't want to not do is not be real about what you're feeling. You want to be as truthful about it. You don't want to sweep it under the rug, because what happens is there's attachments that starts to happen and stick to you and says, well, this is who you are. And it's like, no, that's a lie. See what it is that you're feeling. Look at it. And then hopefully, if you are someone that is walking the walk, you go back to his promises, you go back to his word, and you repeat to yourself, this is what my Abba Daddy says. And then at the same time too, you need accountability. You need someone to be able to talk to, whether that's your pastor, whether it's a sister or a minister that may be in your church. Connect with that person. This is why the church is here. You know, The church is for the ones that are in need. The church is for the ones that are sick. And you just want to go to that place where you could fellowship and find that individual or that group where you could be able to express yourself of the things that you're feeling, and then from there be healed and overcome whatever it is that you're going through.
Would you say through it all now, coming into God and just that relationship you built with him, do you know and feel that he's here with you all the time?
Most definitely. God is always and ever so present in my life. He shows me that day in and day out. And I just see with him, like he's continually building me. And he's showing me what's already inside of me. In the natural, I'm already like an assertive person. And when you don't know the unknown, of course, you're going to feel a little bit intimidated about it. When you kind of look at it like, okay, how am I so tough on the outside? And it's like, there's got to be some type of connection. God is like, come on, warrior. Come up. It's only for so many times that you're going to just be like, oh, I'm down. Oh, I'm crying. Like, get up, fight. And even if you don't have the words to say, trust me, there's so many books out there where you can read and maybe repeat those same verses, them same prayers that is already out there for you, because God gives people wisdom and knowledge to write books for people like us who are starting off and say, hey, they need this. This is what's going to help them. So he's everywhere. I'm washing the dishes. I'm speaking to my daddy. I'm in the car. The best time for me to communicate with God, I know this is in the shower and in the car when I'm by myself, and I get like a lot of download from him. But at the same time, I have to remind myself like, okay, maybe like a day later or maybe a month later, he'll give me an answer to something. I have to remember like, oh, I did ask him, so he's always present. I just have to be like in that quiet place to hear what it is that he's saying to me.
Mm-hmm. So if other women would like to connect with you and follow you and just, follow your journey, where can they find you?
As of right now, you can find me on both social media sites, Facebook and Instagram at Vicky Destin. First and last name Vicky, and Destin Destine.
Awesome. And I'll put the link.
Thank you.
All right. So now, do you want to say anything else left over you want to say, or?
I never have shared my story out like this. But the crazy part about it was always in my heart to want to speak to other girls, because what I noticed, like, when women get to like the age of 30, they just start thinking like time is ticking. And it's like a lie. It's a lie. What you need to be doing as a single woman is staying close to your Abba Daddy and taking care of the business that he's been telling you to take care of the business. If that's going to school, if that's starting up your business, is that cleaning up your household and taking care of like the spiritual stuff that's going on inside of you, all of those factors. Take care of those things, and trust me, whether it's a matter of fact, forget it. That man first is gonna start off with the man finding you, that man of God finding you, and then the baby will come. In that order. Period.
Yeah.
I almost forgot to say that.
Awesome.
My name is Vicky, and this is Dear Diary.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Dear Diaries, Her Story. Today's journey through faith and life's challenges is just one of many we'll explore together. If you've been inspired or touched by the story shared here, please consider subscribing, leaving a review, or sharing this podcast with someone you might know who needs a reminder of God's presence in their life. Remember, every story has the power to inspire, and yours could be next. Keep walking in faith, and until next time, this is Rosa B. Theoc reminding you to live your faith and share your story.